Action, her first national television interview since announcing her U.S. Senate candidacy. Liz Cheney, which, by the way, I am fully, completely supporting and endorsing, only if it helps you. How are you?
Well, thank you, Sean. It's great to be back with you, and I'm honored to have your endorsement. I deeply appreciate that. Thank you very much.
We need strong people that are going to fight, and I want a Republican Party with no pale pastels but bold-colored differences, and I know that you support them. And this, to me, seems like a big issue for the Republicans. Do you suspect when the president, in all these speeches in 2003, 2007, and so on, when he said, by the way, Canada didn't start out immediately with a single-payer system, they had a similar transition step. Do you suspect what I do, or...?
No, I think you're exactly right, Sean. And, you know, one thing about this president is he often tells us exactly what he's thinking. People spend a lot of time trying to sort of guess what it is, but in this case, he told us. He said repeatedly, time and time again, that we'd have to have a transition to single payer. As we've watched the complete train wreck of the rollout of Obamacare, you've seen people now, liberal Democrats, his allies, saying, you know, look, this is what we need to do, is move to a single payer system. The president fundamentally believes that this nation needs to have more federal government control over all of our lives. He's trying to limit individual rights and freedoms. They think they know better than we do when they say, well, you know, the only policies that are getting canceled are policies that really, you know, aren't good enough for you, as though we don't know what kind of policies we need. So I think this is very clearly where he's headed, and it's a strong word in politics to say somebody lied, but that's absolutely what this president has done time and time again, has lied to the American people, and frankly hope he won't get caught.
What's amazing is 3 months after he signed the bill into the law, when they made these changes to those that had policies that were supposedly grandfathered in, they knew that 67% of those with individual plans would lose their insurance, but they never told us. So, you know, I know that there are people that are trying to make all the excuses they can. He didn't know. He had to know. And it seems to fit his pattern of his radical ideology. But what do you see in that?
Look, I think they knew. We've got the documents now to prove that they knew. I really believe this president, you know, he's the most radical man who's ever inhabited the Oval Office. He fundamentally thinks the government knows best. He thinks the federal government knows best. And he believes, partly because he's got most of the media on his side, that he can just sort of plow through this and go ahead and implement you know, this massive train wreck. And when people say, well, wait a minute, you said my policy wouldn't get canceled, his answer now is, well, you know what, we're going to move to single payer because then everybody has health coverage and nobody's policy gets canceled. But we all know at the end of the day where that leads. And I think it's, you know, as you said in the beginning, it's a moment when we have people, conservatives and Republicans, stand up against this. This is a very dangerous moment for the nation. The next 3 years, when this president's administration will be winding down, he'll be doing everything he can to make sure his policies take deep root. And we've got to stand and fight against that, or else we are not going to recognize this nation when he's done.
What do you make? It seems that, you know, when the president says, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan, and then he had no intention of that being a promise he'd fulfill, or saving per family per year $2,500 a year, or it's nowhere near the $900 billion he sold it as. The website wasn't as user-friendly as he promised it would be. But then you have all these people on the left that defend it. Why? Why is it that they just have bought into hope and change and yes, we can, and they're still chanting in their mind every morning when they get up? Well, why haven't they? Why doesn't that bother them?
Certainly they've drunk the Kool-Aid, but I think that, you know, one of the things about this administration is the unbelievable arrogance. You know, the combination of a president who just tells the country, of course you can keep your policy if you like it, of course, you know, don't worry, your premiums are going to go down, not up. And then you combine that with what we saw today with Kathleen Sebelius saying whatever when she's asked whether the president is accountable. You know, I think everybody who saw that immediately thought of Hillary Clinton and the Benghazi testimony when she said, what difference does it make? I mean, these are people, Kathleen Sebelius seems to think she doesn't actually work for the American people. I mean, we've got a federal government that is absolutely and completely out of control, a president who's operating outside the bounds of the Constitution, who thinks he's above the rule of law. And if the Republicans, if conservatives don't stand up and fight against it, as I said, we're going to lose fundamental values and freedoms. Benghazi,
Fast and Furious, and NSA, IRS. He finds out so much information from the news. Doesn't know.
Yeah, it's amazing what he doesn't know. Yeah. Exactly. It's the accidental disaster we're seeing, except that it's not so accidental.
All right, Liz, planning on being out in Wyoming, hopefully, as your campaign moves forward. Look forward to seeing you out there.
Well, I'd love to have you come out, Sean. It's God's country.
It sure is. Good. I've been there. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.